In 1877, Sir Henry Frere, a British colonial administrator, arrived in southern Africa with the goal of uniting the region under a single British confederation. Sir Henry Frere rapidly realizes that the powerful Zulu kingdom on its borders is an obstacle to his stated goal. In December of 1878, an ultimatum was sent to the Zulu king Quetzal, requiring him, amongst other things, to disband his army. Knowing that Quetzal would never accept these terms, Frere arranged for an army under Lord Chelmsford to prepare for an invasion. Having received no response from the Zulus, in January of 1879, a three-pronged invasion of the Zulu land commences. The center column, led by Lord Chelmsford, crossed the Buffalo River at Rorke's Drift and set up its main camp at Islandwana. Lord Chelmsford leads the center column further into the Zulu land, and disaster befalls the British force as the main Zulu army gets around his force and attacks and wipes out his forces at Islandwana. Further struggles emerge for the British as the right column retreats after an engagement and finds itself besieged in their mission fort. By the end of January, all British forces have retreated from the Zulu land. Today's game is loosely based on the Battle of Intom, where a British supply column was set upon by a Zulu force. The rules used in today's game are the Men Who Would Be King from Osprey Games. The rules have been modified to account for the 6mm scale. In addition, instead of the normal I go, you go, units will be activated by chit drawing. The Zulu force consists of two groups. Each group contains 6 elite, fierce tribal infantry units and 2 units of irregular infantry armed with obsolete rifles. The British force advance in column up the road. The column is led by 2 elite sharpshooting platoons of A Company. They are followed by 2 platoons from Company C and Gun Battery A, who are all poor shots. A troop of cavalry rides ahead, scouting for Zulu forces. The second half of the column consists of 2 regular platoons in B Company, 2 unenthusiastic units of tribal infantry, and 3 platoons of sharpshooting infantry and a second artillery gun. Mixed into the column are the supply wagons and a unit of native supply bearers. British forces are spread along the road, having crossed the bridge with the column extending back to the western edge of the table. Pre-game, a few choices are given to each side. The Zulu commanders have the choice of approaching from the north, which is closer to the road but offers no cover, or to come up from the southern hills, which are while farther away, afford cover on the advance. The British force is given the option of having the cavalry patrol out to the hills to the south or north. This pre-game decision, the Zulu elect to enter from the north, which also happens to be where the British had secretly declared the cavalry to be scouting. Having guessed correctly, the British are allowed a move-only action turn to start the game. Several British infantry units are able to open long-range fire on the advancing Zulus. Notable issues on the British side. The A gun fails to move off the bridge, blocking the wagons from advancing. First platoon from M Company failed its leader die roll and didn't move as a result as well. As will be seen often during upcoming turns, the unenthusiastic tribal infantry failed their leadership roles and therefore did not move. For the Zulu forces, they were able to advance across their line. Turn 2. British forces continued to inflict heavy casualties on several Zulu units. However, they only managed to pin 1 unit by the end of turn 2. This allows the Zulu forces to continue their advance, and for the British cavalry troop, their failure of their move test finds them with Zulus swarming all around them within melee range for next turn. Turn 3. The Zulus get a favorable chit draw and are able to surround and wipe out the British cavalry force. Behind that, at the front of the column, the British inflict heavy casualties on the advancing Zulu, but are only able to pin down 2 units, and now many Zulu units are within melee range of A Company's 2 elite platoons heading into turn 4. On the other side of the bridge, the B Company platoons continue to inflict heavy casualties, but the Zulus end the turn with no units pinned. British forces at the rear of the column have slowly proceeded to come in range of some Zulu units. Turn 4. The Zulus draw the first chit and activate Y group, which slams into the front of the column in first platoon of A Company, scoring 11 hits in melee. C Company suffers heavy losses as well and starts to fall back. Of the Zulu force attacking the front of the column, over half the units have suffered 30% or more losses. For the British, the orderly line of units has been staggered back and is in real danger of being overrun. On the west side of the river, the V group of Zulus makes contact with the first platoon of B Company, nearly wiping it out as well. With Zulu forces getting closer to contact with the supply wagons, things do not look good for the British. Units from M Company are finally in close range and start to deliver devastating volleys into the advancing Zulus. Over half of the Zulu force hitting the west side of the column have suffered 50% casualties. Turn 5. Several units are knocked out of the fight during this turn. The Zulus lose their first unit while another British infantry unit is lost along with the first wagon. The British forces on the east side of the river continue to be pushed back to the wagons with a wave of Zulu units within striking distance. Timing of the chit draws prevents things from being much worse for the British by allowing them to pin several Zulu units who are then have to spend the turn rallying instead of charging in for a melee. Turn 6. Another bloody turn with the Zulus suffering an additional 2 units lost. On the British side, 2nd Platoon of A Company is wiped out in a wave of attacks. In the Men Who Would Be King rules, when a unit is removed from the board, all units from that side within 6 inches must pass a pinning test. For the British units, they were able to successfully pass the test. However, Zulu units were able to press the attack, forcing C Company to fall back with heavy losses. On the Zulu side, the loss of unit pinning test did not go as well. Several Zulu units failed the pinning test, and this likely saved B Company, as when the Zulu units were activated, they had to spend the turn rallying off the pinning instead of closing into melee. Turn 7. The Zulus draw the early chit and maneuver units around and into the front of the British column. The Zulu units hitting the British are still close to full strength, and the depleted British units are overwhelmed, leaving only the artillery gun on the east side of the river. On the west side, the British fare much better and knock out several more Zulu units. In addition, the Zulu commander on this side of the table pulls back several of his badly mauled units to prevent them from being wiped out. Several more wagons are overrun during the turn, and the battle is rapidly coming to an end. Turn 8. The Zulus draw the first 2 chits of the round. They are able to destroy the last wagon unit and the A artillery gun. Having destroyed all the wagons and almost half of the British units, the Zulu side declares that they are withdrawing. The British units on the board are far stronger than what the Zulu have left. However, they are out of position to really stop the Zulus from withdrawing. The balance of losses is heavily against the British at this point, giving the Zulus the victory, although a very bloody one at that. Post-match summary. The Zulu forces being elite allowed them to often shake off losses as they closed with the British units. The Zulu irregular infantry units were not very effective as they only hit on 6s. They did, however, slow down the M Company platoons as they often had to stop to engage them. The placing of the British units definitely played a part in the outcome of the battle. The C Company being poor shots meant they only hit on 6s compared to the 4s that the sharpshooters in M and A companies hit on. I would say if M Company and C Company had been switched in the order of the column, it likely would have resulted in a different outcome. The tribal infantry on the British side proved useless and were borderline impossible to get moving, failing move actions more often than not.